working enough, then you're not going to have good health. Okay, so if you're nauseated because your stomach's putting out too many secretions or reacting, something's not balanced in that, you get nauseated. Okay, if you get overheated, that means your mechanisms in your body are not able to meet what it needs to get rid of heat. So there has to be ongoing balancing in your body. This is going on all the time. So acupuncture seeks to do the same thing as Western medicine. We're trying to balance homeostasis. We're just doing it in different ways. Okay? Acupuncture goes back for 5,000 years or more. The evidence of Egyptians using it goes back in Chinese, Japanese use it. It made it over to the way in the United States in 1970. They tried to outlaw it in China at one point. Mao Zedong, tried to outlaw it. He wanted to be more like Western medicine, but they said, whoops, we got way many more people than we have doctors. So they actually started bringing it back. But it made it over here in the 1970s. So a lot of it is theory, and I don't want to go too much into the theory. It just gets too deep. Okay, but it's a thing of balancing thing. In traditional Chinese medicine, okay, if something you have wet is the opposite of dry, and cold, the opposite of heat. You're trying to balance it. So they're using these needles to balance it. Within the body, the theory is you have what's called, they refer to as rivers of energy, rivers of life. And it's referred to as chi. Sometimes you see that written as a large Q-I. Sometimes it's written as C-H-I, but it's pronounced chi. And so that's what we're trying to do, is balance the chi. You take it away or bring some into an area. So these rivers of energy flow along what's called meridians. And you have on your paper there, you can see some of these lines. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's these lines. And these meridians are named, there's 12 major ones, and they are named after the organ that they pass through. Okay, so why am I treating a bladder point on the foot? Okay, it's just bladder because it goes through the bladder. So these things are paired up. So the kidney meridians is paired with a bladder, okay, which kind of makes sense. They go hand in hand, okay. You have pairings of, there's what's called a pericardial, a triple one, that have to do with the heart. They're paired. So stomach is paired with the small intestines meridians. And so we use these points along there to try and treat with. There are 360 different points on the body. You can also use the ear to treat. There's 200 points on the ear. So there's points within the ear that relate to different parts on the body. So I could use the ear to treat an ankle sprain. What? Yes, because it relates to that. So we can do that. I can use a point way down your hand to treat a headache. Okay, so we have all these different points too. So how do we know what points we need to treat? Well, that's just comes from learning the process. These points were learned over these 5,000 years by trial and error. Okay, if I put a needle here, look here what happens. You know, a lot of times it goes back to warriors. Okay, I got shot in the arm, but hey, guess what? My nose ain't running no more. Okay, so it's just trial and error putting these things together over these years. And so we now know that certain points, either by themselves or in combination, cause a certain effect. So we have various protocols, treatment plans. We have this type of pain or this condition, then we treat these different parts to get the effect that we want on that. Now, in in traditional Chinese medicine and that, they do treat health conditions, circulatory problems, infertility and all that. I don't really go into that. I treat primarily for pain reduction. Okay, you can do that way if you want to. You can also use acupuncture for things such as smoking cessation, weight reduction. I stopped doing that long ago because it's like anything else. If you're not willing to do your part. So a lot of people thought if I came in and I put a needle in the spot, they would never want to smoke again. And all it ever did was make a cigarette taste extremely nasty. Okay. And so that was the treatment. You didn't want to have that nasty taste. Okay. Weight loss. If they're not willing to do a diet, I can't put needles in there and you're going to lose weight. If you don't diet, what it does is it curves your hunger down with that. Okay. So there's certain things that, yes, it can do, but people have to do their part with it. I have certain things that I treat that work really good. Relaxation, anxiety and stress, pain, certainly pain. In sports medicine, concussion. There's a whole field out there on what's called battlefield concussion for acupuncture, and I had used that recently, and it worked very, very well. So it's something that can be possibly incorporated into treatment with concussions with it. Because what's the #1 treatment for concussions? Rest. An absolute rest. Well, in this concussion protocol for needles, it's also treating for relaxation and for memory and headaches and some of those things. So those are the things that I primarily choose to treat with it. Does anybody have any questions at this point? You can have to keep asking for time. So
We can do it. We can get started.
okay, so let's get started. Okay, and so I want to just kind of limit some stuff. So how about if we just do some stuff for your shoulder? Easy. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Let me lay down that way.
You can even take it. I'm just going to use one shoulder if you want to take the whole thing. Actually, you can sit right there. Okay. Okay.
Jasmine,
So
you
if
getting
I
a
was
good time?
treating for a shoulder type problem, and then it's going to be primarily some kind of a pain condition when it comes to the shoulder with that. So I'm going to be using some points that have to do with pain. Okay, there are certain points out of these 360 points in the body. There are certain ones that are referred to as master points. It means they're very powerful and they control a lot of things. And so I might incorporate several of these master points in with the treatment. One of the major master ones, and one for the pain control, a major one here is one here. It's called LI4. Okay, that's the LI stands for large intestines. Okay, some of these meridians come down this way. Some of these come from the fingertips and run up this way. Okay, so you ever heard of yin and yang, yin and yang? Okay, that's what it comes back to. Okay, so it's balancing yin and yang, and yin is really yin and yang. Okay, so a major one here. So we want to clean it off first. Now I've got a number of different needles. Some come in different lengths, and I'm going to, because they're so fine, I'm just going to pass around, and I'll let y'all be looking at some of those. Okay, just pass those around. You can see how fine they're, almost hair-like. So a lot of these, when they go in, you feel nothing. Now, if some places really needs to be treated, it might be a slight discomfort to it. So there's some that we just come in.
If you guys want to squeeze in some, you can. I know
Okay.
this is about to stick yourself.
Okay.
You may have to stand up, crowd in. You can get as close as you want up here. Yeah, you can see fine right there. You what?
Let me do this with my glasses on.
That's okay. You do your deal.
Okay, so some needles I can just stick in, straight in. Other ones come with a little tube. The purpose of the tube is just for distraction. It decreases some of that sensation. So I'll do the first one with a tube. My biggest problem is holding on to it, not dropping it. Okay. So I'll put there and I'll just tap it like that. Okay, you're okay? Okay. Okay. If it hurts, sometimes these are really, really bad. So this is one that's for pain. It's a super one for headaches, all kinds of stuff in that. So you don't put the needle, we don't have to put the needle in just all that far, just in, because where it needs to just, it's just on the skin a little bit, okay? Okay. This one has a metal tip, so if I wanted to hook up electricity for like a stem unit, then I could hook that up and it makes it much more powerful with that. Okay, so I would treat there. Now, there's a major one on his foot called liver 3, which is the master point that controls the nervous system. So I might even want to treat a point in his foot. And actually, there's another one down in his foot, another master one called the Bladder 60, which is a master one for bone and joints. And so I might want to treat one down in his foot. Okay. So there's a couple of points specifically for the shoulder. Okay. And one in the front, one in the back, right above the clavicle in the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this gets a little bit tricky because what's right under here? Well, the bone, but what else? Lung. I used too long the one. I don't want to punch the lung, so okay. So I'll just kind of pinch it up so we're not doing that. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and I just kind of twist it, stimulate to go in there. Okay, I will.
That one hurt.
Sometimes that really needs to see how that's turning red.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's really active. Okay, that means I really got a good spot. So sometimes it can be that way. Now, there's what some people refer to as sometimes referred to as a miracle point. And that's whether you want to, so it's like I'm stuck on a desert island. I'm on an island in the Pacific, and I got one needle. Where am I going to put that one needle to help him? That's all. Okay, I'll put it here. That's a miracle point. That should do it. So there's one right above crease back here.
Didn't feel that one.
Huh?
That one was easy. I didn't feel that one.
No. And I have.
So while you're doing this, what if I move my hand? Does that cause a
Doesn't
problem?
hurt. I mean, if it doesn't hurt you, it's fine. You can move.
All right.
Okay, we'll talk about that as well. Okay. We'll go for another miracle point. That a little sore? That's a little tough going
I'm so muscular.
in. So, now, if I wanted to, I might have you work your arm while those needles are in there. It's not going to hurt them.
It feels,
You
maybe
might-
I'm sore from working out yesterday, but it feels
Okay.
like really, like almost a sharp pain right there.
Okay. Well, so you can move them around with that. Now, typically, and as I said, we could use some points in his ankle for his shoulder as well. Okay. Typically, if I'm just doing straight up needles, we'll leave him for 15 to 20 minutes. if I were to choose to put some electrical stim attached to it, I could cut down my time for 10 minutes on that. Okay?
Then you guys want to get closer and see
Anybody
anybody need to.
You good? Good. Okay. All right. So that's a shoulder.
Oh, what time do we get out of here? Is it 40? 47 is what I was thinking.
Okay. So
This on Monday.
let me grab these out and we can do some other points.
47? How did you go?
Okay. So you got to remember how many I put in so I get them all out of it. But guess what? Occasionally, when you, not very often, but occasionally, when I pull these out, there could be some bleeding going on. Okay, so what do we worry about when we have visible bleeding? Bloodborne pathogens. So I've got to protect myself. Okay. I should probably put gloves on both sides, but I'm make sure the one that wears has blood.
I wanted my hand hurt and took it out.
Okay, that might be something I would do for his shoulder. Now, if I had do you mind more nails?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to have a condition such as maybe he's got a bad muscle spasm, a really sore muscle, then let's say his deltoid is really sore. Maybe he took a pound on that, but it's just very sore, or it's in a muscle spasm where he has a muscle spasm with that. So then I could just use a technique called surround the dragon. And so rather than putting my needle in specific points, I'm just going to surround the area.
It really just feels like a little. Oh. Now, if I pass out, then just lay me down here in this room.
No calling them when you get engaged.
Nah, I'll be all right. That's why I don't donate blood. For real.
Are you feeling anything when I'm poking these in?
Yeah.
Okay. But not bad.
No.
Some of them you probably don't feel.
Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and lay down.
You getting woozy?
Yeah. Sometimes it happens. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you can get a shot of this, but what I did was I surrounded his area of injury or his muscle spasm. It's not in a specific point. Sometimes there's points on there and they're referred to as ashi points, which translate to there it is, it hurts right there. So then we'll just put a needle right there. Okay, so that's a technique for treating a muscle spasm or an area of injury. Now, if he was bruised, would I want to put, there's a visible bruise there. Would I want to put some needles in there?
I would guess no.
Well, not acutely, because what's that? That's bleeding. I don't want to make him bleed more, so it's just kind of a personal call. There's nothing that says you can't. Now, there are certain things that you cannot be using acupuncture for. You should not be using it, or it's extremely cautious if somebody's on blood thinners. Sometimes with diabetics, there's some conditions that you probably shouldn't be doing this for. I would. There's I want to talk about points there. There's a point here. There's the way that you find these points is it's actually measured off your finger. Okay, so from your middle finger, the middle knuckle is called a sun, C-U-N. Okay, so this is one sun, this is two suns, this is three suns. So there's a point actually up in his wrist. If I start at the creased wrist and come down 3 fingers soon, there's one called Pericardium 6. It's actually the most researched point, and it's extremely powerful for nausea. So if you're ever feeling nausea, then you could just take, you don't need a needle. You just take your fingernail, take a pen, something, take your finger, and just be putting right there. Actually, on like cruise ships, they used to give you medicine you put behind your ear. Actually, they'll give you a sell you a bracelet that actually has a little rubber point, and you just wear that bracelet, and it's continually stimulating this point, so it helps down the seasickness. So this is a really powerful point for nausea in that. Okay. And I came right on the other side and got him on the other side, and he wouldn't want to smoke anymore, or he have a nasty tasting cigarette. So they do different things with it. Okay, so if he's got sinuses and allergies, I can use points here, and some on his face to treat for sinusitis and those things. Okay, I found that it really opens up the sinuses, but it doesn't have a lasting point. The thing with these acupuncture needles, although I've taken this out of his shoulder, it's still working, and it will continue working, or the effects of it continue working 30 minutes or so. So even though there's no needles, it's still going on in him. Okay, so if I wanted to treat him, Coach Jackson, I got a really bad headache today. Okay, you want it in the face?
Whatever.
Okay. Okay, so there's a couple of them. There's headaches, and it's just a matter there. Okay with that? Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Move forward.
Yeah.
Please.
And move the camera so you can see, or use that one up there. I don't know if you can zoom in up there or adjust this.
Lower it, lower it. There, yeah. I'm low-key kind of freaked out about this.
Jasmine, is anybody asking any questions?
Well, they said a question, but we can't pronounce it.
It says,
I'll go read it right now.
What can you
Is
do
it-
for painful
Neurology.
What?
What can you do for
Show it, you know how to show it?
neurology?
Click on it.
The little eyeball thing.
The eyeball.
You have to do it.
Oh, I don't want to do it now. I know the other one.
it's on the other.
This might be a little.
On mine, it's just you have to click the little eye right here. That's all you do. So you have to on the eye.
Did you show it?
It won't on theirs. It won't let me.
You see it? Okay, so what I've done is I've given a couple for headaches. And
Notice I'm not opening my eyes. I don't like needles. I'm all right as long as I don't see them.
and there's a big one up here in the top of his head. Okay, let me know if you're picking up any radio stations.
Did you feel that?
Okay, so so I'm doing some things. I would probably use this one that I used before for his headache. And the one's his nose. This is for his sinus, to open up his nose if he has sinus problems with that. Okay, everybody seen that? Okay, what was it?
If you'd like to get up closer, now's a great
See if we
opportunity.
can figure out the question. What was it?
What can you do for potential neurology?
I don't understand the first word they're saying. Can you spell it?
PUDENTAL.
For neurology,
Yeah, neurology.
Again, you know, you can use this for anything you want in that, but I just try to stay away from some things on that. But I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's finding out what are the points that I need to treat that with. Now, is it going to have an effect? The thing that I find with the acupuncture is it can work really great on one person, sort of good on somebody, and nothing on someone else. So it's, you know, you can't, somebody says, is that going to work? Is pudendal neurology going to work? Don't know. It's a trial and error. But I'm not really familiar, honestly, with exactly the points I would need to do for that, because it's such a combination with that. But there's really not anything I can't attempt to treat with.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered their question or not. I'd have to find the specific points for that.
Make
Okay.
sure you Snapchat this and tell your friends what you're doing in class.
Already on it. Heavy day too. Oh, I love that one. I've been married to Kevin Gates.
Reading those. Those are usually. Okay, let's look at maybe doing for a knee. Oops, he's bleeding a little bit there.
You spoke
That's
right?
why you want gloves on. Okay.
Girl, no.
I don't know where he's been.
Did you say bleeding in Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay. Or do you have a specific condition you're worried about?
Anybody have anything they want to see something on?
I mean, I can do his knee and I could do it for an ankle. It's different that.
What
Now,
happens if you do the knee?
huh?
What happens, like, how does it help the knee if you put it on the knee?
Again, you put in specific points and it helps primarily with pain reduction. Now, it may have some effect on edema, but it's primarily pain reduction.
All right, so my right side of my low back has been hurting for a little while. Want to see if there's anything there?
Yeah, go ahead and turn over your stomach. Okay, so he's saying his back is hurting. Now, so the meridian that controls the back is what's called the bladder. So it starts up here, it goes on both sides, right down the center of his back, okay? And then it's going to split, and each leg is going to have a bladder meridian right down the center of his leg, okay? So I'm going to roll your sock off here for a minute, just enough right like that, okay? Now, okay, so I'm going to do just a couple there. Just want to clean it real good. Okay, so
Jasmine, did he say that answered the question? Or you ever? No.
Yeah.
all right, so again, one of these master points is down here, right behind this lateral malleolus between the Achilles. So I'm using his foot.
You want me to switch and put my foot down here?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Now I could use another one on the top of his foot, which is another master one. That's for nerve condition. So if he was having some sciatic pain, I would probably want to hit that nerve, but we'll leave it off today. Now, there's some really powerful points in this bladder thing that go down his leg. So I would put a needle here at the bifurcation of his gastroc, and I have one right here behind his knee. That's bladder 57. I might have a couple of in here. Okay. There's also down the side called Gallbladder Meridian, which is that kind of out here, and I might stick some needles in gallbladder. And then his I'd come to his lower back. And I might have a couple of points here, but
I know they look alike. I'm saying they look alike.
and I'm going to come to some points called Halacha Points, and basically they're off to the side between the spinous processes, and about an inch out. You okay with that?
Mhm.
And I'm going to only put about 4 in. And I could choose to do as many as I wanted to. It just depends on how up that pain is going. I might have 6 or 8 of these things. So I would have some here, maybe some out here. I'd have a couple down the center of his leg and this one in his foot there. Again, it'd stay there for 15, 20 minutes. Now, in traditional acupuncture, they talk about stimulate. So I might come by periodically and just kind of jiggle them, twist them to stimulate those as well. Okay. So I want to run out of time, so let me pull this because I want to show you something else. Okay, so what might be in your mind is, well, what can I do? You know, you got to have the license to use the needles. But as I said before in this one, if you're putting an electrical stim on somebody, essentially you're somewhat stimulating these points. But you can do it digitally, just taking your thumb and just really working over those points. It's about stimulating the points. How you do it doesn't really matter. This is probably a little bit more effective because it's going deeper into the body. Go ahead and sit it for me. Well, guess what? Mr. Jackson here, he doesn't like needles. Okay, so now the same thing I've done in this, I could put needles in his ear and treat him in his ear. Okay, so I could, the ear is actually, the body is represented upside down. So look at this, okay? So actually his head is represented down here, his foot is represented down here. The back of his ear has to do more with neurological conditions. So there's a lot of things that I can treat for anxiety and stress. If I want him to relax, I can treat a point right here if I want him to relax. If I want to help him remember, there's a couple of points there. So each point has a specific reaction to it. But he doesn't like needles, okay? So I have a little tool here. That I might use. Let's see if it's going to work. My battery, man. Oh, it's not working. Okay, but this basically has a button. What it's reading, these points have electrical resistance. So the more resistant it is, the more it needs to be treated. So unfortunately my battery's running down on this, but basically I would come and you'd hear it go, and you found a point. But what I could do is, you won't feel anything because there's a dead, okay? And I would just hold this on him and treat him as just a little electrical stimulation, very gentle. And I would treat him maybe for 2 or 3 minutes on the spot. So if I want to treat his lower back, I would just come up here and treat his lower back. So I can use his ear, but I could use it anywhere, but it works really good on the ear, okay? Because it's electricity, I don't have to. So I should have checked my battery before it came here. So anyway, so if you don't like needles, then we can treat you with this. Okay, any questions at this point? Anybody in the audience have it?
Doctor,
All right. Well, thank you for
We can
watching
come
me
back,
stick
if
my
more
needles.
questions, we can come back for another one. And my battery will work at that time. Should check.
See you guys.
I have a kid.
We're both right here, Jackson.
All right. Thanks.
I treated this nurse for restless legs. Restless leg was twitching. She's on 5 medicines. And so I treated her and only got like 2 or 3 needles in me. She was totally off the medicine. So I had a kid that came in, and that's what mom said. You got restless leg, it wakes him up to speed. Well, I knew he wasn't going to let me put needles in that, so we started using this.
Yeah.
And I kind of just like one of those things, oh yeah, okay. Well, every time, and I would take it away to see what happened. She said, every time you take that away, he starts wetting the bed. So I finally said, just go out and buy you one. You don't need to be, you don't have to have a license to buy it.